Welcome everyone, this is Pineleaf Needles and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Andang,
Hey everybody.
Terry Edwin,
Hi,
Maven,
Hey, y'all.
Erithert,
Hello.
Hey everybody.
and Carvette.
Well, no bad me at all. It's your service.
And please welcome our special guest for tonight, Brannick.
How can I live up to that?
I was going to say, I'm sure it's totally like, I don't know what to say now.
Well, you could just, make an app that's super awesome. I mean, that would be a pretty good way to live up to
He's
that.
already done that, Andy.
Again?
He's already done that. Tick the box, move on. He's done that. Awesome app, check.
All right, let's then head into our game news for this week and LOTRO in-store subscription update. And what's this all about?
Yes, Pineleaf. Well, the LOTRO in-game store now allows players to actually update their subscription. At least it provides a button that then takes you to a website.
Wow.
Bravo!
So if we can't remember account.turbine.com, is that what it is? Or my turbine or whatever?
my
So,
account.
my account. Yeah. See, I couldn't remember it, so I need to go into the LOTRO store. There we go.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I know a lot of players that don't know about myaccount.turbine.com. Whenever I do the giveaways, about half the time I'd say, I probably get people asking, great, I got this code, now what do I do with it?
That question comes up on Steam a lot, actually. People buy an expansion or something on Steam and then complain that it doesn't work. It's not added to their game.
Yeah, and so I think that this helps players be able to easily upgrade their subscription without having to look on the forums how exactly to subscribe to LOTRO. And it does it from the in-game store, which makes sense because the in-game store allows you to buy expansions and other things like that, so why not also become VIP?
And I will say that actually a lot of the codes and stuff are now, you put them into the redeem code in the store.
Yep.
So like I had a kinmate just give me like all of the skirmish packs and End of the Forsaken or Halls of Night, whichever one it is that's kind of by its onesie. And I just copied and pasted the code into my in-game store. That's how you do it. It's like, oh, that's good news. It's easier by a long shot. I think they're trying to make it easier for people to upgrade their accounts and add stuff to it, which I think they've done. It's cool.
Well, I think especially for the Steam player base, which has grown a lot since they released the Steam client.
Yeah.
That handles a ton of support issues if there's an in-game place to do that.
Just
Absolutely.
be like, hey, look right here.
Right, then let's head into Bull Roarer, where I've heard that someone ran the raid.
Somebody did, but it wasn't the person who wrote the article.
Oh!
Yes, Pineleaf, yesterday, all of the players, and by yesterday I mean like Wednesday, all the players of LOTRO were actually given access to test the new raid that's coming out with update 18.2.
Yay.
And, Erithert, that was
enthusiasm galore.
Yeah. And,
I'm really excited. You have no idea.
Erithert, you actually did a whole stream on this.
Yeah, it was like 5.5 hours long. It was great. The actual instance only took about 4.5 hours, but that's because we kept wiping, and it was a pug, pickup group on Brandywine, or not Brandywine, on Bull Roar. So it was people didn't have much patience, I would say. So I think out of the original 12 of us that started, maybe 3 or 4 actually finished.
Wow.
So we had people coming in and out constantly. Somebody would disconnect, and we'd have to wait for them to come back. There was, I think, 4 or 5 people that actually went link dead throughout it and came back. And then somebody did an emote, so like emoted that they went link dead from the raid and freaked everybody out. We were like, no! And it's like, oh, brilliantly done, brilliantly done. I'm going to do that myself someday. But it was a massive amount of fun. It was difficult, even on tier 1, but a lot of that had to do with bugs and having to constantly run back through endlessly spawning enemies to get to where we needed to go when we wiped. So hopefully, some of that stuff gets fixed. I've not been on for build 2, which is actually already up with some changes. I don't know what the changes are. The notes don't say what exactly was fixed, but changes have been made to it. More stuff is added, I guess. But hopefully, like, the things that are annoying about it get fixed. But it was a lot of fun. It really was a lot of fun.
Where would you rank, based on the current build of beta, where would you rank this instance among the others?
It's really unlike anything else other than maybe the Rift. So it's a raid. It's what people wanted. It's possible if you want to just do the thing and farm it for gear, you could go and kill the first boss, come out, go in, kill the first boss, come out. But
Oh, that's right. There's only a lock on the tier 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing that I've noticed is that there are way more animations in this instance than there have been in a long time in instances.
Yeah, like the beginning part of when you first go in, you take a hard left. If you take a hard left, or you can go straight and face a bunch of Mumaks and get killed, or you can go left and get killed, or you can kind of take the middle path and get killed. Anyways, if you take the left-hand path, you come across this massive, beastly-looking troll, and the beginning of his animation is him stomping on people, which is pretty
And kicking another troll
and
like a
then
soccer
he
ball.
kicks a troll completely out of the instance, and it is amazing. You're just sitting because you don't expect it. You normally just kind of watch him do his thing, and then you start fighting. But if you actually watch him do his thing, you're like, "Holy crap! He just kicked a troll into oblivion." It's a lot of fun. And as you get later into the instance, the final boss fights, each of the fights leading up to the fight with a particular person, which is immensely satisfying. Each of those fights leading up to that have a particular mechanic. You're gonna have to kind of do something like that one troll fight's distributed damage. So you have to go against your tanking instincts, me as a tank, and actually face him towards people. So everybody kind of takes more damage, and you don't take 100,000 damage, or 900,000 actually was one of the hits that somebody got, which is a little absurd.
Ow.
Yeah. So that's tier 1, but you have to kind of face him toward everybody. So it's a mechanic, but the later fights as you as you fight through and kind of go with your group.
No, I think
through
suffer
this.
through is apt.
Yeah, suffer through all the fighting and killing things, and you finally get to this thing, and I guess I don't know how much of a spoiler it would be at this point, but because it's in the video, it's on the site. But you fight Gothmog. He's the like the last boss, and at this point, like picturing coming to this from just having seen Gothmog kill fill in the blank, or Haldir, whatever who is that he kills. Halbarad? I think it's Halbarad. Anyways, you hate Gothmog, and you want to kick his teeth in. And that final fight is just a straight tank and spake, and you get to kick his teeth in with no having to worry about stuff. And it's amazing. And it's so satisfying. It is so unbelievably satisfying. I'm ranting. But it's my favorite instance of the game, even though it's not even out. If I could run this one in no other instances, I would.
One thing to note is that if you know the title of the end boss that you're fighting, which Arthur may or may not have spoiled, then you know that the title of the instance spoils who you're going to be fighting.
Yeah,
So-
true. True.
Now, I have a question. Are all of the bosses sort of people you run into in the Epic?
No.
Because I noticed that the boss that I saw in Andang's video was one from the Epic, and in a way, another part of the Epic
Oh,
has
that's
you
the guy
fighting the mimic. What?
Wait, where is he in the epic?
Yeah, where is he? I don't remember him at all.
He's kind of like the guy that kills
that
Golod.
great troll? Yeah.
No, Golodier kills him.
Yes, but that's the point is this is a raid version of many other parts of the Epic.
So it's like a parallel universe raid.
That's what they said.
Golodier?
When they said what the raid was going to be, when they gave hints for it back when 18 was released.
True, because you have the Mumaks that those two
Right.
idiot bow guys try and kill and get stomped on.
Right.
Yeah, they're nice, but they're not smart.
So sort of your chance for revenge against all those.
Against all these different things. It is a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun. There's some bosses in there that I've not seen before that are absolutely disgusting, that you don't want to have dreams of. There's some new stuff, some reminiscent things of back to Volume 1 in Angmar. You get to fight some of the same people again. It's absolutely stupendous. It's amazing. So,
By the way, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
no, I didn't say who. You get
Sort of been spoilery this whole time.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's out there. We already put it. You put a video up linking to the entire thing. You know.
Yes,
saying.
but it's optional for people to read that article. Some people try to avoid that stuff. Just saying.
Yeah.
In
Here's the
any-
unspoiler version. if you wanna
Consider
just
your
fast
wrist
forward to this
slapped, Aerithert. So there.
part. Ow.
Let's. All right.
Man, Maven, you hit hard. Wow.
No, I was actually commenting on your hard-hitting commentary there.
Yeah, I know, but anyway, moving on.
Let's head. Now, also related to update 18.2, I have a question. Do you know where your stable masters are?
Well, Pineleaf, if you don't know, there's actually a new Stable Masters collection panel that is up for testing right now on Boar.
Which is
And
actually kind of awesome.
So what do you? So you go into the collections panel, you click on Stable Masters, and for Mithril you can go anywhere. Is that right? I mean, you just
well, the
like-
Mithril is not yet implemented, and when I was reading a tooltip about it, which they finally updated in the most recent build of beta, it actually had nothing about being able to spend Mithril in the panel. So, but it had information on, like, this tells you where all the stable masters are and all this stuff, so it seemed like a very in-depth description of what it did, but it mentioned nothing about travel. But what's weird is there's a travel button with Mithril coin on it, so I'm guessing that eventually it'll have that, but it's not implemented yet, so I don't know. We're going to have to wait for a further build to see exactly what this panel will entail, but at the very least, it gives you a spot for collections on all your stuff of your different stable masters, which apparently there's 151 in the game, so that's a thing.
And I have 148 of them.
Wow. I was at
Me too. I was
140,
missing
I
a
think.
couple in Angmar.
I was missing the one in Angmar that's up by the rift, and I'm missing the one in the North Trollshaws, and one of the new ones in Far and Orient because I haven't got
Yeah, I
there
am
yet.
too. Yeah. Even though I've gone there, I'd somehow missed this stable, so I don't know. But anyway, it has the potential that we could be able to maybe travel with Mithril to anywhere in Lotro if we wanted to.
That's where I give the
That'd be kind of cool.
I like the idea of the Instaport from one place to another, but I don't like that it's mithril gated.
I agree, because a lot of games allow you to just port anywhere
right.
regardless.
Once you get into the travel network, it should be click here, go there, boom, done. If it's
Make it
gated
like a
by
one gold.
yeah,
Stable
if it's
Master thing.
if it's like gated by like deeds in the area, totally cool. But the fact that it's a paid currency for a system that you should, I mean, yeah.
If you're gonna do it where everybody can enjoy it without breaking the bank, okay?
All right.
I agree with that sentiment.
Yeah,
What's,
I do too.
An interesting thing, though, is that some people have been wanting this to be a VIP feature, to where if you're VIP, then you don't have to pay Mithril. So I thought that was an
That'd
interesting.
be a
You could do
nice
it like a
touch, too.
6-hour unlock for 75 TP, like they have for a lot of other VIP things.
See, now if they could do it in that manner where it's like a VIP perk, or
That
you
would
could
make
get
sense.
or you could use that writing trait that you get with that fancy writing token that you get with your intro bundle, and you could buy more of those. I could see that working. That'd be pretty cool.
That would make more sense to have a token of some type that would
Yeah,
be
and the only reason you'd have
purchasable.
to use a mithril is if you were trying to get to someplace you've never been.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Kind of like the way Stable Masters work now.
Exactly.
And we currently don't know if that's actually how this is going to work, because they added another button in this build of beta. So they said previously that the UI is not final. So for all we know, there could be a travel button that doesn't require Mithril.
yeah.
So still waiting to see future builds how this develops.
That's awesome.
Right, then let's head into store sales.
Oh, Pineleaf. You are determined to make this post be invisible. You are determined.
Well played, Pineleaf.
Well, okay, Ending has a story for you.
Thank you, Pineleaf. So, we actually received an email earlier today that was from a player who I trust that gave us an image saying that their account had been hacked according to a site called I Have Been Pwned.
Have I been owned?
Or that too. And see, Pineleaf's really liking me covering this now. Yeah, Have I Been Pwned? And according to the site, there was a data breach in August of 2013 where 1.1 million players' accounts were actually compromised, and includes everything from dates of birth to passwords to email addresses to all sorts of stuff. And that's what this site says happened. We have not seen anything official from Turbine. We've not seen anything of them acknowledging or warning anybody about anything, so it's possible that this has not even taken place. It's also possible that this actually is referencing an earlier breach back in 2011, because according to Fredulous, we actually got he tweeted at us in response to this article, and he said, "For me, it lists an earlier email address I used prior to the 2011 forum breach," which suggests that it was actually the 2011 forum breach that caused that to happen. He did say that he only changed his account, and so he's not sure if that also changed his forum details as well, so it's possible that the forums could have been hacked again in 2013. So, lots of questions about this.
Well, it is worth noting that that is a very reputable website in the security industry.
So why don't you talk a little bit more about that, Brannick, since you kind of know about this?
If you've not changed your password for your account in the last 3 years, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, basically.
And that's how it affects you.
But Brannick, you actually know a little bit about this site. If you want to talk more about how you know it's reputable.
Well, I don't know a lot about it, but one of the podcasts I listen to is Security Now, which is run by Steve Gibson. Who, if you're not familiar with him, he's the guy that coined the term spyware. Has been, heavily involved in computer security issues for probably, as long as that's been a concern for anyone. And I mean that website, haveibeenowned.com, I never pronounced the P. I don't know why anyone would. That's come up before. It's a very reputable website among people who care about security. It's basically where you go when you hear about a security breach and it affects something that you've been to, like the T-Mobile breach last year. I know it came up there. And you go to that website, you put in your email, and they have a database of all the compromised accounts. They're very meticulous in collating all this stuff and basically giving you the information that you need, let you know if your account was compromised, where it was compromised, or even if it may have been compromised, and the degree of danger that the attack may have caused. So it's a very highly regarded site in the security industry.
Yep. So to sum things up, we don't know what happened. It's probably a good idea to change your password anyway. And for more tips on account security, Brannick, where can people go?
Well, we did have a security episode of LOTRO Academy a while back.
All right, yeah, you can go listen to episode 22 of LOTRO Academy for security stuff, and there's a link to that in this news article.
Actually, this actually probably when did they switch to having a single account name? Because I know they used to have website at a different password than the game?
Yeah, which was a good thing. I don't know why they changed that, because that was a bad change to make.
Yes.
I
So I
don't
was
remember
wondering
when
when
that was,
yeah.
though.
Very well. Then let's head into the store sales.
Okay, free sample this week is a rejuvenation potion times 5. Use coupon code RJVNTN5 one time per account. 20% off quest packs, yay! Mithril coins, yay! I gotta pick some of those up. 100% XP boost for 1 hour, Max Morale and Power Scroll, I get plenty of those in Hobbit presents. I actually overflowed and had to send mine to some alts. But it's your turbine points to spend as you please. Just don't spend it on LI crap. So, yeah. And there's sales this weekend, too, and I'm trying to remember what they were. Anybody remember what the sales are this weekend? Which they're actually usually good through the entire week, even though it's supposed to be just a weekend sale. Because, like, when they had the emotes on sale.
Oh, I didn't look while I was just in game.
Anyway, there's a weekend sale going on, and I don't remember what it is, but I'm sure
Lots
it's
of
awesome.
housing things.
Yeah, housing stuff. That's what it was. It was housing stuff.
Yeah, okay.
And now's the time to pick up housing stuff, because
Or hooks.
wasn't one of the articles this week, but in update point 2 there is a revamp-ish coming for the housing system where you're going to be able to get more hooks, which is pretty awesome.
Ooh,
A ton of
nice.
hooks. A ton of hooks. It's ridiculous.
You can put in your house, finally, all of the stuff that you actually want to put in your house.
Basically, yeah.
Now the question is because the notes had said that there were a couple of test houses. So the question is there going to be enough time to actually implement this fully, or is this something that they're testing now to get feedback for a later update?
Well, that's a good question, Pineleaf. I was wondering about that as well. As far, Aerith, does the raid seem fairly ready to go?
No.
No.
To be honest, no. I expect that it will be ready to go. I mean, it will be ready to go for 18.2, obviously, but I don't see why they wouldn't be able to get the housing ready, to be honest.
Okay, so you think there is enough time that there will be a couple more iterations?
And they did say that they're planning, a while back, not recently, that they're planning to release this update by the end of this month, June. So
Yeah,
And I
there's probably
expect-
time by the end of the month.
I expect, especially after kind of the flashback that they got with Guardian changes without testing on Bull Roar, that they'll be testing things pretty extensively for the raid on Bull Roar and getting a lot of feedback.
Well, the raid went through testing on Palantir too before it even hit Boror. So
Right,
this is
and really,
actually,
there's not a whole lot that's really messed up in the raid. There's a few things that are like, oh, that's just a major inconvenience that I wish we didn't have to deal with. And
you haven't
there's
done it
one-
since they recently updated either, so
right,
it's possible
I've not done
that...
18.2, and it could be that that's been changed. Or that
18.2.
Well, 18.2.2.
Yeah, 0.2.2. So it's entirely possible that that's changed as well. But that the only thing that really bugged out for us was the Mumok fight. And because when we all wiped, they kind of came right up towards where we spawned in. And we had to
That's
fight them where they
hilarious.
weren't supposed to be fought. And
Oh, wow.
amongst a bunch of other things spawning in, it was a mess. It really was a mess. But part of it comes from, being in a pickup group. But yeah, there really wasn't a whole lot wrong with the instance. There was some weirdness that we had to deal with the same thing with that first troll boss on the left when we died, and he kind of was trying to come at us but couldn't because he was stopped by his wall, and we had to all leave and come back in. But it really doesn't seem like there's a lot that's messed up with it. Some quality of life stuff, and I think it's pretty much good to go.
All right.
LOTRO Players News is brought to you by a punctual hobbit.
Having trouble getting out of bed in the morning? Know that your fellowship will leave without you if you are late one more time? Can't seem to get the timing right on your baking and are burning those pies? Get the new and improved Pineleaf Countdown from Clandestine Games. This Hobbit-sized timer will keep you on pace for whatever you need with reminders at regular intervals. Countdown reminders come standard every 10 minutes with intervals changeable for your situation. Pineleaf Countdown. It's really real this time. Never miss your raid start again. Visit clandestine-games.com and get your Pine Leaf Countdown today.
The Pine Leaf Countdown.
I tried to get Pineleaf to actually do a Final Countdown parody to record for the startup of it, but it didn't work.
Yeah. I didn't do that very well, yes. Right, and that's right. Today, Clandestine Games has released a new app called the Pine Leaf Countdown. And Brennick, what's this about?
What's it about? I think it's about watching a hobbit pace back and forth a lot and seeing what he's thinking. Occasionally hearing him say something.
10 minutes.
Well, he actually says a lot more than just the counting. There are actually 54 different things that Pineleaf says in the app, and that's not including the thought bubbles.
How does that happen? Because I used it today, actually, during my stream to count down for when I had to turn off my stream to start the podcast.
Well, there's a lot of situational stuff. I tried to put in a lot of jokes. Obviously, the majority of what you're going to get is the random thought bubbles that are just going to show up sporadically as Pineleaf's pacing back and forth.
Yeah.
And the majority of the time, I didn't want to have, like just random sound bites playing that, may interrupt you. Because I wanted the app to be functional as well. So the idea is that you either open it like the Windows version, you have it running in the background, or you have the web app version running in its own window, just in the background, and you're off doing whatever. And in that circumstance, you're still hearing the audio from the counting. You're getting the reminders as the time approaches, so that you can make sure that you're not late and you don't miss your raid or whatever it is you're trying not to miss. For me, it's usually a podcast recording start or something. So that's the general idea, and I didn't want that to be constantly interrupted with speaking random things, and I thought that would kind of get a little bit old if that was all the time anyway. But there's a lot of situational things that he will say. There's a lot of startup things under certain circumstances. One of my favorites is if you set an alarm sometime between 4 a.m. and 9 a.m., and you set it for either 2 hours or more away, but not 6 hours or more away, then as soon as you start the app up, Pineleaf will yawn and say that he wanted to sleep in. There's awesome. a lot of situational stuff like that. Before I forget, there's two things that I definitely wanted to talk about, which are some of my favorites, and there's two Easter eggs that are in the app. And I mentioned during the field trip, and to some other people that had access to the prototype, that I would be, on this episode tonight, that I would be explaining how to access these Easter eggs and what they are, how they work. This is the only time I'm going to mention them publicly. That's kind of important because this is the first time I'm doing this for my 27 Easter egg. Every app that I make, which right now Pineleaf Countdown is my third app. I've also made two games, those Alien Bastards for Android and Scoop, which is still in beta. Actually doesn't even have its 27 Easter egg in it yet. But everything I make, including a bunch of prototypes that I've made, has a 27 hidden in it somewhere. 27, as a lot of you probably know, is my favorite number, so it's just kind of a gimmick. I decided to hide a 27 somewhere in everything that I develop. So this is actually the first time I'm mentioning publicly how to do it, but I figured since this particular app kind of spawned from this LOTRO Players community, I figured I would let everybody here in on the joke to know about it. So if I did put in a link in the chat to the Pineleaf Countdown page, so if you want to try and follow along with this, you're welcome to. But in order to access the 27 Easter egg, you first have to go into the alarm mode. There's two modes, timer and alarm. So you want to go into alarm mode, and you want to set the timer. You don't start it, or the alarm. You set the alarm for 2 a.m., and then there's a bunch of optional count checkboxes for different minutes and seconds that Pineleaf will announce as he's counting down. Disable all of those except for the 5 minutes and the 2 minutes, which gives you a total of 2 hours and 7 minutes. As soon as you do that, as soon as the time is 2 a.m. and the only those two boxes are checked, then another unlabeled checkbox will appear. If you tick that checkbox and then start an alarm with at least 30 minutes on it, Pineleaf will have an additional announcement when it gets to 27 minutes on the clock. He will either say 27 or 3 cubed.
Nice.
So that's the hidden 27. The other Easter egg is actually more complicated to get to because it's time specific, but it's a lot easier to actually do. And that is just a reference to one of my favorite albums is Pocket Full of Kryptonite by the Spin Doctors. And there's a song on there called What Time Is It? And since the 90s, when I first heard that album, every time I hear someone say the phrase, "What time is it?" I always think in my head, before whatever real answer comes to mind, I always think 4:30. Because that's, this song repeats it many times throughout it, but the very first lines of the song are, "What time is it? 4:30. It's not late, it's just early." So if you happen to set a timer, or an alarm, and the current time is 4:30 a.m., and the alarm that you're setting is for more than 2 hours away, then the very first thing Pineleaf says when you start the app will be, "The Spin Doctors were right."
That's awesome.
So that is the second Easter egg.
Now, why I'd be setting an alarm at 4:30 in the morning is an entirely different matter.
It's because you were up too late raiding, and you need to set an alarm for get up in the morning, the next morning, because you're going to bed too late. Not saying it's ever happened. I'm just saying.
Aerithert knows you so well, Pineleaf.
Yeah.
Well, I was actually curious what Pineleaf. Well, first of all, I want to thank Pineleaf for actually taking the time to record all the voiceover for me. But I was actually curious because he didn't know what he was going to be recording before he saw the script. I was curious if any of the lines surprised you, or if you had any favorites. Or if you even remember that.
Nothing jumps out at me at the moment.
Well, that was exciting.
Yeah.
So
Can I say what my favorite is? Because
Sure.
it happened like right after the audio went live. The first time I canceled out to switch between timer mode and alarm mode, I had Pineleaf's voice go, "Where do you think you're going?"
Yeah, that's one of my favorites as well. It's one of the random things he can say when you cancel a timer or an alarm you've already started. And most of the things that are situational, there's like a pool of, I think, 3 to 7, depending on what it is, things that he might say in that situation. So it's not always going to be the same.
It was
Like
just such a Pineleaf thing to say.
Yeah. Like when you stop a countdown early, he might say, "Oh no." He might say, "Was it something I said?"
I've gotten that one too.
Something I said.
Or he might say, "Where do you think you're going?" Or he might say, "Oh, goodbye then." So that's kind of an example.
My favorite so far is "Are you ready to skirmish responsibly?"
Yeah. Are you skirmishing responsibly?
Or
Yeah.
something like that. I was like,
And then
oh,
there's
no.
well, the overcounting is my favorite. There is an overcount option, and that's the only time where there's just going to be random speech. Anytime there would be a thought bubble, there's a 1 in 10 chance that he'll say something instead when overcounting.
And those are so funny.
They are.
Did you forget about me?
Yeah.
Are you still there?
Exactly. But the overcounting itself, just the counting part of it is funny as well. And that was kind of an afterthought because originally the way we recorded the voiceover was I had this script that I'm actually looking at right now where I had all the lines, that I had in mind in it. And of course it starts out with just all the counting down. So I've got like 60 minutes, 50 minutes, 40 minutes, all this stuff that Pineleaf had to do. And I was just like, all right, go ahead and let's get the counting out of the way first. Just say each one like 5 or 6 times. I'll, use the best take. And, if I need you to redo something, then we'll do it from there. And I was trying to listen closely, make sure there's no problems with the audio or anything like that as he was recording it in high quality on his end. When he started getting to the counting up part of it, though, he was doing the 1 minute over and repeating that several times and then getting to 5 minutes over and, all the way up to 30 minutes over. I kind of got the idea, like, as he was halfway through it, that I wanted to try something else. So I had him, instead of repeating the same one over and over, I had him try a couple of times where he would just say them all in order just one time, but get more and more exasperated every time. And that worked out so well because now there's just like for 1 minute and 5 minutes and even 10 minutes, there's just like he's sort of sighing a little bit as he's counting over. But by the time he says 30 minutes over, he's almost seething. He's just like so angry.
Which I'm sure is accurate to how that would be if we actually ever did go over 30 minutes. Or there would be hospitalization. I'm not sure. I mean, it would be dramatic.
And
Right.
Gussie Moose is asking a question in the chat, asking, can the timer go any lower than 10 minutes, like 5 minutes or 3 minutes? The timer cannot. The timer right now is just for 10-minute increments up to an hour. If there's enough feedback, I might change that, depending on the use case that people have. But for right now, I figured that was fine for the timer. With the alarm, you have 5-minute increments. And you can schedule any time of day, which basically means for up to a 24-hour period, or technically 23 hours and 59-minute period.
Southern Bell's quoting one. I don't always play games, but when I do, I play LOTRO.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the random. When you first
that's
start
funny.
the app, there's some random things he'll say as well.
For the
How
record,
can I help you?
I now have this downloaded as a Windows app, and it's pinned to my start menu. Right underneath, like
Nice.
all the things that I open up for streaming. Pineleaf Countdown is a little Pineleaf sprite face. It's glorious.
Yeah, this is really cool. A big thanks to our patrons on Patreon for actually helping us make this app and support Brannick for doing this. We actually donated a full month of Patreon support to Brannick, so thank you so much, Brannick, for taking the time to do this. We really do appreciate it.
It's a surprise to me. I am very grateful, but that also, I'm completely overwhelmed. Because this is the third app that I've released publicly. I've also released 2 games, Those Alien Bastards and Scoop. Now, granted, Scoop is still in beta, but on day 1, Pineleaf Countdown has already made more money because of that than
Wow.
the other 2 combined.
And
So,
that's honestly because it's
I'm
such
so
an awesome app, Brannick. And I really do hope that if you enjoy this app, if you download it and really like it, hit the donate button. It's in the bottom right corner and help support Brannick because he really does deserve it. He put in way more time than should have ever been put into an app like this. And thank you so much, Brannick, for doing that. It's awesome.
honestly, I'm just so happy that people really like it. My goal was because I was there for that initial discussion. It basically started with the fake ad and Andang saying someone should make that be a real app, and
I know, that's what's so amazing.
I was stupid and said in live chat, well, that would be an easy app to make. And
Never easy.
well, of course it would have been, because all I was imagining at the time was just all you need is, like basically just the timer mode with just a tiny little screen and just the numbers counted down. That's all I was imagining. Maybe a little Pineleaf face, but Pineleaf's voice and the numbers counted down, that would be so simple to put together. But then when I realized I was actually committed to doing it, I was like, there's no way I'm going to associate clandestine games with something that simple. I have to really design this and make it something cool. And I wanted to really blow people away and just exceed their expectations. And I'm so happy that people like it.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
get the Pineleaf Countdown app.
Today.
And never be late.
Well, you can still be late, but Pineleaf will just be angry at you.
Make sure you remember to set it and listen to
That's
the
true. That's true. And when you do use the overcounting option, Pineleaf will only overcount up to 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, he'll say, I guess I'm done here, and storm off, and the app will close out because of the screen.
Let's head into the community events for this week for June 17th through 23rd. And does anybody have anything in here that jumps out at them?
No.
I'll
But
take that.
Shirefest is next week.
All right. And is
Because
there
all the
anything?
good stuff happens on the weekend.
Yes, of course.
By the time we are already recording, it's usually mostly done. In fact, there's one going on Landreval right now.
Very well, then let's head into our poll. Are you excited about the new raid?
No.
Alrighty then. Well, that's some of the host opinions apparently. Yes, Pineleaf. We asked players, are they excited about the new raid? And I do want a disclaimer that this poll was actually put up before the beta happened, but it has been up since the beta has been up. So some of the votes were actually able to see the beta and be able to react to it and give their opinion that way. So now that disclaimer's out of the way, the top answer was yes, they are excited with 39%, 98 votes. Next up
That
was...
was my vote.
Alright, now that we have more disclosure, the next up was I'm waiting to hear/see more with 26%, which was my vote. I'm telling two everybody. Alright. No was next with 19%, followed by meh, the Draculetta answer with 14%.
That was my answer.
And finished with other with 2%, 5 votes. So there were 250 votes in this poll. So thank you everyone for voting. And yeah, that's kind of what the community thinks. It seems that the majority either are excited or are wanting to see more before they get excited. So
Now, one thing that had me wondering about this particular poll is that since Met is about as not excited an answer as one could get, then it sounds like with a question like, are you excited about the new raid? No and Met are pretty much the same thing.
well, only if you think about it logically.
So they can be added together. I really agree with Pineleaf's assessment of that situation.
And I agree that they're basically the same thing, but I wanted to give that extra little option for players that wanted it. But yeah, so essentially 35% are saying that they're not really excited.
Then let's head to LOTRO Academy, episode 127. It sounds like a sneaky one.
It was a very fun one to record. I learned a lot.
You learned a lot. All right.
I think Corey, the Tolkien professor, I think he learned a lot as well.
Yes. And hopefully that will help in his Burglacious episodes up through with Grifflet.
Oh, don't count on it.
Well, and of course that's thanks to Riddleberry, also CableNet Dragon.
Actually,
yes.
it's kind of funny because it's some people are like, I feel bad because some people are like fun to pick on, and a lot of people like to pick on him on how he plays his burglar with a pocket healer, which has to be incredibly difficult for the healer when the person you're trying to heal periodically disappears. But
And you're not in voice communication with them at all, so
yeah, exactly.
You know.
Or fellowship. But it's actually like he really does like want to get better at his characters, and he genuinely is interested in playing them well. So like I give him full credit for.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he like top burglar of the year and went for it if it was a thing.
The tricky thing is trying to keep up with them during those streams when he's going around, and especially if you're not hearing what he's doing until 30 seconds later, so you're wondering, okay, where's he going? Which stable was he taking to? It's challenging trying to follow him around.
Yeah, I've done it a couple
Yes,
times.
It is.
Only a
I
couple
agree.
times.
Well, and he doesn't want he wants to keep fellowshipping to minimum. He's a real loner when it comes to that
Right.
stuff, so that makes it also really
Yeah.
frustrating.
Now, for the last one that we did, because on this Friday we had one of those where we were fellowed for a little time period doing something, and it was his great, I would say it's one of the great burglarious moments, so when it's posted you should see it.
Oh yeah, it was
What?
funny. He
Yeah,
was
I mean-
Plan A. You're talking about Plan A. I don't know if you're talking about Plan A, but there was. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but Plan A is hilarious.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's anything like Stealth Plan 32.
I was wondering the same thing. But no, that's awesome
I don't know.
that you had the Tolkien professor on. Was this the first time he's been on Academy?
Yes.
Yes.
And it was
Very
totally
cool.
a surprise because I didn't tell Brannick who was guesting until right
Yeah.
before the call went out.
I made sure to maintain veto rights in case I didn't like who the guest turned out to be.
It's great.
And we have a preview for tonight's episode of Tales of the Free Folk, Annals of the Free Folk, Falcon.
It's good stuff.
It was good stuff, but I'll tell you what, I still want to kill her.
Thought we already did.
No,
Oh,
she got
dude.
away, didn't she?
I think she got away. I don't remember, to be honest.
She disappeared.
So
We're gonna have to talk to Gray to remind us what happened last week, because there's a lot that was going on.
fairly certain that I cricked that chick. She went down. Unless
Gray said, yeah, she did.
Oh, that's right. Didn't we get a crit on her just before?
Yeah,
we
that's
did
right.
that?
Yeah, that's what it
she
was.
went into her evil monologue, and Carv says, "I shoot her with my bow." Dong, right
Yeah.
to the heart.
That was funny,
Shot
actually.
to the heart. Who's to blame? Corvette drops the plot. Exposition to the ground.
And apparently forgets how to rhyme.
All the time.
Yes.
I'm not a bard. I'm a guard.
I think with that we should head into
Definitely.
the
Just move
Great
on.
Company. The Great Company, parts 1 and 2. First we have The Rangers.
You need to give
And
a spoiler alert.
are we going to be discussing any of these spoilers here, or is it just for the article?
I think we should, considering that this was actually based on a forum post that was made by the Turbine devs this week. So this is actually news that we just kind of repackaged. So, spoiler alert for the epic story. Feel free to go ahead. I'd say like 5 minutes maybe, and if you went too far, you can always rewind. So.
It was a really interesting look at which Rangers made up the Great Company, where they came from originally, and who's alive, dead, missing in action, or uncertain still.
Yes. Though on the third entry, I think they sort of left out a couple of details that I guess they thought was too spoilery, even for this article.
Yep.
All right. Anyone else have anything they wish to?
You don't really get a sense of what has gone on in the epic story until you see all the names color-coded like this.
Yeah.
And how traumatizing this actually was for... I mean, there's a lot of names in here. So.
Yeah. Now, if one of the things that was noted was that part of the size of the body count was because they added all those rangers to the skirmish camp.
Right.
And they had to
In
account.
Hungarian, yeah.
The skirmish camp in Hungarian, and now, now we got to have all these guys killed off because none of them were intended to be in the Great Company originally.
Or maybe they're just off skirmishing with Pineleaf. We don't know.
Well, yeah, maybe they should just say their fate, off skirmishing with Pineleaf. Yes, right.
Yeah, what is
Trapped in
Timor
endless
of,
skirmishing.
Termorva is that camp in Dunland where
Yep.
the thing happens.
The thing.
Oh, is that the thing at the end of the Dunbug thing?
No. No, it's the thing in the snowy place.
It's
That
the
thing.
Falcon
Oh,
Quid.
that thing.
That
Yeah.
thing.
Son of a motherless goat. Those dirty, rotten. Arrgh! Okay.
And Carves up to speed.
All right.
Did you just say son of a motherless goat?
Yes, he did.
Yes. Yes, I did.
That all right? The second article gives a some because the first one talks about going ranger by ranger. The second one is a summary based on who's killed, who lives, who you don't know about, and how many were met along the road later on.
Crazy statistic is and spoiler alert by the way, 2/3 of the rangers perished on Pelennor Fields.
That's a large number.
That's
It
a
is
large number.
Yeah, quite a number of them. Well, let's face it, Pelennor Fields wasn't exactly a bloodless battle.
Quite the opposite, I think. By
So let's then head into Small Lotro Adventures, episode 51, More Stores for Stores. And that's another Bingo Boffin episode.
With extra Lizzie.
That sounds like a very hobbity tongue twister.
Well, yeah.
Let's say more stores for stores, more stores for stores, more stores for stores.
Yeah.
Had to untie your tongue there, huh?
It's like rubber baby bingo bumpers.
How about more door stores for stores in Mordor?
Okay, Brannick wins.
I agree.
I concede.
Pineleaf just has shock. He's just in shock at this point.
Yeah, quite a bit of shock on that. Let's head into the Family Line, part 95. Boy, they are getting far on this one, aren't they? Daughter of Dale. And any of us who have read it, I'm sure, are wanting to not say anything spoilery.
Or we're still trying to follow the breadcrumb of articles that is apparently endless.
Well, there is also that. So let's go to Letters to My Brother. Part 2.
Which is a letter back in response to the first letter. And the cool thing about this is that Arathalion has actually got his real-life brother writing the letters back.
Ooh.
Which I thought was great.
Yeah, that it adds a special flair to it, I think, that wouldn't have been there otherwise.
Right. Yeah. And we also have, of course, The Critter's Journey, part 28.
Yay!
My friend, I bow to no man.
I'm pretty sure that's an AON joke.
I bow for no man.
Well, it's probably hard for a chicken to bow, I'm guessing, but
Oh, we're not in chickens. Now
Yeah,
we're
I know.
following a cat.
I know.
Anyway, I'm reasonably sure that it's an AON joke based on where he's at currently.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Either that or it's a cats are always jerks joke.
Cats are.
Not
Well-
always, but a lot of times it seems like.
Oh, come on,
Right.
Oliver's adorable.
You can be adorable and
Oh,
still
you-
be a jerk. Just saying.
Cats
That-
pretty much have the opinion that you're staff.
let's Let's head into our
I-
weekend Lotro.
I just want to clarify. I do like cats when they're close to me and I can see that they're cute. But it's one of those things that they're fun to hate on from a distance.
Hang on, Pineleaf. I think we actually have a new player question this week.
We do.
Oh, we do? Oh. Then
Let- Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead, David. What is this week's question?
Let's review Destiny points. I think we may have talked about them once before, but I don't remember. But I think based on some of the conversations I've had with players, I think we need to review what they are, what they're best used for, where you find them, how you get them, and anything else you can think of.
Ah, yes, the lost child of Lotro, the Destiny points.
Well, first thing you got to understand is you can't use them unless you're VIP.
Yeah.
Ah,
You
I
can
don't
earn
either.
them. You can earn them in a variety of ways, I think, but you can't use them unless you're VIP.
The main way to earn them is basically via leveling up. Every time you level up, you get a couple Turbine points or a couple Destiny points.
points.
If
Yeah.
memory serves correctly.
There's
Um,
other things I think too, but mostly it's leveling.
Pretty sure it's I thought it was just leveling was the only way to get them.
These
But
days,
yeah,
there might
they're-
be one or two obscure ways of getting them, but certainly it's no longer by PnP like it was originally.
No. They're essentially a way that you can get some minor buffs to your character. If you when you hit the letter B to open up your inventory or your wallet, at the bottom left you'll see a little button called Perks, and that's where you can look in. You see your Destiny points. You can use them for a little tiny bit of speed boost or damage increase or mitigations or what have you.
Morale or those things that you get bazillions of in your Hobbit presents, and you just burn them to get them out of your bag.
You basically. Also, if you are a VIP, you can use them. You can only use them if you're VIP, but you can also use them. You know how you get that little blue area like bonus XP for being VIP? You can buy more of that.
wow.
That by far is the best use of
Yes.
Destiny points, is
Yes.
to load up on those bad boys.
Yeah.
You can when you first use them, you get 5 charges of the bonus. You recover 1 charge per day, per 24-hour period, until you've either recovered all 5 charges, which is all you can have stored at a given time, or if you use all 5 charges within 24 hours, you'll get another charge that you can then use, or you can wait another 24 hours and get another charge, and so on and so forth.
Oh, interesting.
That's the main use for them, is that if you're a VIP and you want to use to level a character even faster, that's what they're for. Nowadays.
And
If you're in the Moors and you want to use them for like extra boost to damage or something, you can do that. You can also use it if you're in the Moors for a little extra boost to the infamy and renown that you get.
And it's across your account, right? Is that right?
it's server,
It's
I think.
cross server.
So across server.
Server-wide,
Okay.
yeah.
Cross server. Okay. Okay.
Well, what's neat about that particular layer of like the bonus XP, for example, is if you're only playing a character once a week because you've got a static group or something, when you log in, you just burn all 5 of your charges for double XP, and then it'll just sit there and persist. Even if whatever you do that night doesn't consume them all, that bonus XP will just sit there until you
It's
actually
not-
use it.
It's not timed, in other
No,
words.
it's not like the timed ones. It's actually a
Right.
portion of double XP, like your daily login bar for the VIP players. So if your champion, for example, only plays once a week on Tuesdays with your friends, and they're like, you need to level, but you've been burning that thing for a few weeks, by the time you actually sit down to play for an hour, you can gain 2 levels because you've got so much bonus XP stacked up. As an example.
Wow.
But yeah, they're nice little perks, Destiny points for VIP folk.
Cool.
All right, now, anything
That
else
is
that you could do with it?
I think. Oh, there's a lot of other stuff, I think, right?
Everybody ignores all the other stuff, though.
Really, that's
Yeah,
the
for the
best
most
use
part.
of it. The rest of it is kind
Actually,
of
I have used them to buy off the skirmish penalty, like if you die in a skirmish.
yeah.
What does that penalty actually do?
It lowers the amount of marks and medallions that you get.
Oh, makes sense.
The shame of defeat.
The shame of
Yeah.
defeat, yeah.
Yeah. And I just thought it was a hobbit with poorly manicured toes.
Let's head into our weekend Lotro. And Carvet, what shenanigans have you been up to?
A lot, apparently.
It took me a second to get it entirely, and I was like, that was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I thought that was pretty darn clever.
That was amazing.
I was hoping for a little more response, but I don't know. Well, this week I learned a very, very valuable lesson. No matter what the circumstance, dwarven women do not like to be mistaken for elves. Ever.
What? What a shock!
So I was playing with Mrs. Carve doing our weekly Beard Kisser stream, which was delayed today, and I assumed that she was the person on the horse behind me as we were coming into the stable master, and I turned around and I said, "Look, see, there you are. You're coming right up," because she was kind of fussing at me because I took off without her, and then I looked up and I realized that wasn't her, that was an elf, and I went, "Oh, never mind, that's an elf." And being true to her character, she was like, "Oh, I see. Now we look like an elf, huh?" Yeah, it was. And what was the best part about it? It was so memorable. I had people the following morning on a completely different stream about a completely different character go, "Yeah, and by the way, dwarves don't like to be compared to elves." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So it was fantastic. I was having a lot of fun. So, Aerithir, what was you been up to?
Besides just recovering from laughing at that glorious one. Did anybody else get it?
Oh, yeah, we're good.
Oh, fine, you people.
Some of us just didn't find it all that funny.
Rating, I did the rating and YouTubing and wardening, basically. I'm fitting 3 in 1 because I can. Basically did the raid thing on Bullroar. That was the highlight of my week for sure. And then YouTubing, I was like, oh, I should actually do YouTube stuff again. So I kind of got around to finishing up a backlog of stuff. That the video I did for the raid it's like close to 3,000 views already, which is insanity.
Nice.
And made like an OBS, Open Broadcast System, which is a program that a lot of folks use for streaming. They came up with a new version of it, just slightly different. And so I did a video on that, updating my guide that I'd made for that, like when I first started streaming. And so basically catching up on YouTube. And then I played my Warden a lot today. I got it from level 37 to level 40 and just got battle memory. I don't know why I couldn't say it. I got battle memory, and I'm excited to figure out how the heck it works in practice. Like, I know how it works theoretically, but in practice, what does it look like? How does it work? I'm excited. So yeah, that was basically it. Terry, what did you do?
I played LOTRO with my mother, and she discovered all the low points of the Spring Festival.
Only the low points?
Well, I may have mentioned a couple of times how movement challenged I am. Mom is way more movement challenged than I am, so it took us the better part of an hour to get through the Hedge Maze once. And I asked her if she wanted to do more maze quests, and she's like, nope.
No.
So we tried to do the in-league initiation and drink our way around the Shire, and that didn't go so well. She ended up having some issues with her mouse not responding, and she couldn't click on the NPC to turn it in Frogmorton, so that ended up not going so well. And then we did the quests leading up to shrew stomping, and I said, do you want to stomp some shrews? And she said, yeah, let's stomp shrews. And then we had to actually stomp shrews, and that less than fun because it was a Saturday afternoon on Landreval. And yeah.
Shrew stomping Saturday afternoon on Landreval. That doesn't sound like.
Yeah. So Mom's not much on festivals. Been a good time though. It's frequently entertaining to play with her. It took us 2 days to do that little bit of quests because we were halfway through How the Shire Shoes Shrews, where you have to go around and talk to all the farmers. And I said, okay, click on your horse to get on your horse. And I look over, and her character's doing a little animation where you're traveling somewhere. And I'm like, no, wait, you're going somewhere. Where are you going? And she said, I don't know, I just clicked. And I said, okay, well, move backwards or forwards. And before she could move backwards and forwards, she was gone. and she had clicked the button to go to the kin house, which was next to the button that her horse is. So I had to go find her, and I had to go travel to the kin house and rescue her from the housing neighborhood. Because there was no way she was finding her way out of there on her own. So yeah,
That's a
that was
dangerous housing neighborhood.
well, Movement Challenge Plus can't read a map Plus has. I told her to follow her white arrow for the quest arrow, and instead of following her quest arrow, she's following the white point on the radius that's going west, which is the opposite direction of the quest arrow. So yeah. So Maven, what kind of shenanigans did you get up to? Maven, you did?
I said this is your genetic heritage, Tara. I just want to point that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a very low action week for me this week, but I did get my Cappy up to 70, and he is learning the joys of yellow line. So that's just special all over Mirkwood. So that was my week. Pineleaf.
What?
Pineleaf?
What?
Didn't you?
I thought it was Ending's turn.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were after me. Excuse me. Andang. Well, I don't want to overlook Andang. Okay, Andang, how was your week?
I was fine with surprising Pineleaf and having him go next, but I'll go ahead and go.
Because he panicked, didn't he?
He did, yeah. That was freaking out, yeah. His countdown wasn't quite ready. So, yes, Maven, this week I actually watched a wizard help a king take care of an advisor in an epic sort of way. And if you don't know what that actually means, then you might not have done Volume 3 of the epic yet. But that is what I did this week, and not wanting to spoil it. So, Brannick, what have you been up to?
I got beer. I got lots of beers. I mean, obviously my big highlight is releasing Pineleaf Countdown today, but to pick something specifically from LOTRO itself, probably the most notable thing was Zinger sending me 2,000 Bull Roarers Brew.
What?
Now, he's basically every year he, sends me kind of his surplus of Bull Roarers Brew, and he goes and grinds a bunch of them. But I wasn't expecting 2,000 of them in my mail.
Yeah,
So
that's quite a surplus.
500 of them are now in the kin chest, and I still had some that I got myself and some that I got from Zinger from previous festivals on one of my characters in storage. So I have quite a backlog of Bull Roarers Brew ready now. So I think for this next year, I don't have to be cautious with drinking it anymore. Normally, I'm pretty cautious with the Bull Roarers Brew because you can only get it in the Spring Festival. It's rare, but I get to splurge for this next year and just drink as much Bull Roarers Brew as I want.
You should take it to one of the taverns at Pelennor Fields and help them celebrate.
And if you don't know what Bull Roarers Brew is, it is definitely my favorite beer in the game because it's very St. Patrick's Day themed. It gives you the most powerful drunk effect, like visually, but everything's tinted green, and normally when you get a major drunk effect on you, you have little like drunk bubbles popping by your head, and when you drink Bull Roarers Brew, they're shamrocks.
That's pretty awesome.
And of course you get them from drunken fence walking.
So, Pineleaf, what have you been up to?
Right. I have been leveling my minstrel on Landreval. My Landreval minstrel has been sitting at 58 for probably a year. So now I'm starting to actually, though I resumed went back into Mirkwood, resumed questing in there, and now I've gone through the early parts of Mirkwood, finished that fun little instance that you've got in order to get out of the landing area. Somehow survived it, and The reason why I'm doing this, the reason why I'm suddenly decided I'm going to level this minstrel is because my warden on that server had gotten a title called the clarinetist. And I'm saying, well, my minstrel has got to get that. So therefore I said, okay. And now I have to level up because it's like level 100 quest. So therefore I have to get all the way up and get all the way to Minas Tirith in order to be able to get that title.
I think you're one of the few people I know that would level a character just to get a title on it.
Nope.
I said one of the few people, not the only. One of the few.
There's more than a few of those folks. Oh, that's cool.
And let's then see our news beyond LOTRO, where we have our Middle-earth video highlights, The Lay of Nimrodel.
Yes, Pineleaf, this is another Adele song. Adele McAllister, that is. And she actually converted a poem from The Lord of the Rings and brought it into song form and brought it to life as The Lay of Nimrodel. And it's amazingly beautiful. And maybe might change some people's views on our talk last week about elves.
Is likely to change it for the better or for the worse?
That's up to those people to decide, Pineleaf.
I think it's an important question.
Well, we might get to it in an email we have later in the show.
Very well. We currently have 25 supporters on Patreon, and if you would like to join this illustrious rate of players to help support LOTRO players, go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you will find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or you can be a guest here with us on LOTRO Players News. And this week, we have a featured comment from Jonathan Greer Vertak, who left a comment on last week's LOTRO Players News. And is there someone here who's really excited about reading this?
I'll do it. So, what's with all the elf hate? I actually like elves. In fact, Elrond was always one of my favorite characters from The Hobbit / The Lord of the Rings. Yes, elves as a race do have a tendency towards the vice of arrogance, but all people groups have their vices. Man's susceptibility to corruption, dwarven gold lust, even hobbits can be gossips and snobbish, not to mention thieves. Sackville Baggins, anyone? The fact that elves tend toward arrogance actually makes a lot of sense. Arrogance is a favorite vice amongst the scholarly and learned. Even the Bible mentions this tendency when it says that knowledge puffs up. This is something that I've encountered in my own life as an amateur scholar. I was humbled when my wife had to point out that I got a bit haughty when discussing more academic matters. I was ashamed to have to admit that she was right, and it is something that I've tried to counter ever since. Since the elves are immortal beings, one consequence would be their ability to accumulate vast amounts of knowledge. No wonder they tend to view the other races more like children. Of course, this doesn't excuse such behavior. We must all fight to overcome our shortcomings. And personally, I think there are plenty of good elven characters. For every stuck-up elven snob, I bet you could find a valiant warrior who fights the shadow out of altruistic reasons. So let's all be like Legolas and Gimli, who put aside their assumptions and actually got to know each other and learned respect and friendship. Or maybe I'm wrong and the elves really are just arrogant jerks. Oh, and Pineleaf, don't worry. The character I contacted you with was a pre-existing character on Brandywine, and I don't play burglars, so no hiding in the shadows and stalking here.
Okay.
And Greymaster in the chat says, as soon as he said, I actually like elves, the rest of the comment became invalid. So clearly there are still some very hostile opinions on how to view elves. And speaking of hostile opinions,
we have an email from Belconian.
Oh, cow.
yeah, they did
Belconian.
specify many weeks ago that it's cow. But anyway, continue, Pineleaf.
Belconian.
Dear LOTRO players, after last week's Elves Suck episode, I feel that someone needs to give some pros and perspectives for elves. In the game, we fight evil dwarves and evil men. I, however, don't ever remember fighting evil elves, and no, orcs don't count.
Yes, they do.
Well, I was gonna say that the evil elves aren't not so much evil by virtue of like actual intent. They're more evil in the sense that they're inept. Elrond's
And we
sons,
we
battle
don't
of
fight them, but there are evil elves, like way back.
Yeah,
elves that
yeah.
go bad.
We don't have to fight them, but they are there. Not they're evil in the sense that they make your life difficult for no real reason.
All right.
Sort of like telemarketers, but different.
You can't hang up on the Elrond in the middle of the Fords of Ruin, as much as I kind of would like to.
Yes. When men first came into Beleriand, it was Finron Felagund, an elf, who welcomed and began sharing knowledge with them. You wouldn't expect someone from World War I to fight in a war today. They would be far too old. Elves, on the other hand, have fought in war after war after war. In most cases, it's the same elves doing the fighting. It's bound to wear on anyone.
This is the one comment that I think is probably the most valid for actually having a lot of sympathy for elves.
Elves keep helping men even though men keep failing them. Betrayed at the Battle of Unnumbered Tears, stunned and hated by most of Numenor. And lastly, when victory over Sauron was close, Isildur kept the ring. Elves are forgiving. Dwarves killed one of the great elven kings. The elves still had a friendship with the dwarves of Moria, as evidenced by the inscription of Moria's door. Speak, friend, and enter. Elrond may stay in his library a lot, but he has good reason. He is collecting knowledge for future generations of men. I have to imagine that after countless generations of men asking the same questions, he figured it was easier to put it in a library.
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
I like the idea of Elrond working for thousands of years preparing this library for men, and then nobody ever uses it. And he just has all his work lost to time.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I heard that after Rivendell faded away, all those books were brought to Alexandria.
Most likely Pineleaf. And we all know what happened there.
Right. In the Elven intro, Elrond one-shots a troll with a long-range sword skill I would love to have.
And why isn't he out there questing?
Yes.
Yes. He was younger then, That was
Yes.
like 400, 500 years ago.
Yes. Elves gave Numenor the White Tree and the Palantiri. Sure, elves can seem stuck up, but most of them were around when man's great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents were kids. So yeah, to them, all men are like children. I have one last point. In a recent poll, elves were the top played race.
That's true.
Means that all those elves are running around trying to save Middle-earth. So they deserve a little more respect. P.S. Pro for elves. They're elves. Love the show. Keep up the good work. Bill Calnian.
Belconian, you rock.
Yeah, that was an awesome email.
That's a good case for the elves.
Greymaster in chat counters it with, I bet Mordor has handrails.
I don't know, man. The dwarves don't seem to have handrails in Moria, so that's the thing.
Right. Now, if you would like to send us a nice long letter, such as Bocanian did, you could email us at podcast@lotraplayers.com. You could also send us follow us on Twitter, the Players Alliance @PlayersAlly, Lotro Players @LotroPlayers, Andang @PVNP_Andang, Arithert @Arithert, Carvet @CarvetLP, Maven @TolkienMaven, Pineleaf @Pineleaf Needles, Terry Adwin @Terry Adwin, and you can follow our guest Brannick @BD Marvel. The Players Alliance has 4 live shows every Monday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We have DDO Players News. On the last Friday of every month at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lotro Academy After School. Every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lotro Players News. And every other Saturday after Lotro Players News, we have Tales of the Free Folk. And you can join us for our live shows at lotroplayers.com/live. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.